Hi, I'm Liam and welcome to the next episode in the series of coding with the BBC microbit. In this lesson we're going to use our microbit to create a digital dice. But wait, how can I create random numbers? And how can I turn those random numbers into the different dot patterns you see on a regular dice, I hear you ask? Well, we're going to be making use of conditional statements and a random number generator. So let's jump over to the app and get coding. Okay, so I've created a new project. Let's give it a name. So let's call this dice. And then let's get rid of this on start and the forever because we are not going to need those. And then if we go to input, let's bring in on shake. So this will kind of emulate having a dice in your hand and shaking it to see what number you get. So first thing we're going to need, so the simplest way we can make a dice. So let's go to basic and do show number. And then obviously this is just going to show 0. We want to have a random number between 1 and 6. So to do that, if we go down to math, and then we will find in here one called pick random 0 to 10. So let's pick that and put that into our show number. And then if we change this from 1 to 6, we will now see when we shake it, it shows us a random number between 1 and 6. So that is the fastest and easiest way to create a dice with the microbit. But what if we wanted to see the different dot patterns? So instead of showing the number 5, we wanted to see 5 dots on the screen. So to do that, we're going to need a variable and some conditional statements. So first let's create a variable and let's call it number. And let's put in our shake set number to our randomly generated number. So now for our conditional statements, if we go down to the logic tab, we'll find this if true then. So what we want to do is drag that into here, and what we are going to put in here is if our number is 1, show the LEDs with 1 dot lit up, and then similarly if our number is 2, show the LEDs with 2 dots lit up. So to figure out if our number is 1 or 2 or 3, we want to go down to logic again. I see there's this heading comparison. So in here the top one is 0 equals 0, which is obviously true, but we don't want to say is 0 equal to 0, we want to say is our number equal to 1. So if we go back to variables, we find our number. Let's click and drag that into the first one. So if our number equals 1, we then want to show some LEDs on there. So if I hit shake, nothing shown, again nothing, get nothing, get a few times, there we go. So now it's showing 1 LED lit up on the screen. So now all we have to do is add that in for the other options. So you'll see on this if block, down the bottom there's this little plus icon. So if we hit plus, it brings up an else. So that's essentially, so if our number is 1, do this thing, otherwise do this thing over here. But we've got more ifs that we want to compare, more comparisons we need to do. So we don't want to say if it's 1, show 1 dot, otherwise show something else. We want to say otherwise if it's 2, and then otherwise if it's 3, etc, etc. So if we press plus again, we now turn that else into an else if. So now if we go back to our logic, we can drag a comparison into there, and then similarly if we do the same as we did with number 1, put our number in there and say if it's 2, let's go to basic, show LEDs, and let's put 2 on there. So now if we shake it, you can see there's 1, a few more times. Something's not quite, oh there we go, got 2. So why wasn't that, so obviously we're not clearing the screen after doing this, so if, say we've got 2 on the screen now, if I hit shake again, if it's not 1 or 2, or if it is 2, if it's something else, it's going to leave that on the screen. It's not going to update if we have a number other than that because we don't have those options in here yet. So let's carry on, add a few more options. Just click a couple of times there. So let's add in 3, if our number is 3, and then let's add another one for if our number is 4. Logic, comparison, variable number, if it is 5, scroll down a bit here, let's add one more, logic, comparison, variable our number, and if that equals 6. So let's add in the LEDs for these, so 6, and then we want 5 in here, and 4, and then 3. So you'll notice down the bottom of our if statement, we've got this else that's kind of left on its own, and we don't need this, so you can just hit this minus button here and that will get rid of that. So now our if block is purely ifs and else ifs, and there's no kind of end else. If you wanted to bring that back, so say if you were doing something that you had a couple of options but you wanted to do something if it wasn't one of those, you could just press this plus again and it brings it straight back. So that's our code created. Let's give it a go. So hit shake, you get 6, 6 again, 3, 6, 5, 5, 6. Oh, getting quite lucky with the 6s. 6, 6, 5, 6, 3. Come on, give me a 1, 2, and a 4. 1, 2, 4. Okay, so I think that's all of them. So that's all working, and that's how we can create a random dice with our microbit. Okay, so I've downloaded the code onto our microbit. Let's give it a shake and test it out. Okay, so you can see that our dice is now working and we're shaking and getting lots of random numbers on our microbit. Brilliant. So I've added a couple of extra features as always. So if I press and hold button A, it clears the screen. So if you were playing a game and so the person before you just shook and got a 2 and you wanted a 2 as well, you could slyly pretend to shake it and say, oh, I got a 2. So to make sure that doesn't happen, press A, clears the screen, so everyone has to give it a proper shake to get a result. Also, the second feature I've added to this is that if you press and hold the B button when you shake it, you will always get a 6. So to do this, I added an extra conditional statement. Have a go at home and see if you can add these features too.